Hey everyone, I'm Hamer Hayes, also known as Hamer the Hypnotist, and my guest today is Jyoti.
Hi
Um,
there.
Jyoti is here to tell us a little bit about her journey and, and the healing modalities that she works in. Tell me a little bit about it. I understand, Jyoti, that you do meditation. It's not just hypnosis, you do meditation and other healing modalities. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I came into hypnosis basically through my own journey through the meditation route too, with my fascination with healing my own mind and healing trauma and how to take charge of my mind basically. And I realised that hypnotherapy was a massive factor in utilising being able to do that. Do you know what I mean? Meditation takes a lot of dedication and practice and chronic practice to get long lasting change. So I realised that hypnotherapy is almost like a bit of a cheat for 10 years of meditation or something. Do you know what I mean? But it's not just for me about the clinical hypnotherapy side, it's about bringing people to connect with their true inner self or awareness or your soul, whatever you want to call it, higher self. People have different names for it, don't they? But I just like to use it as a bridge, and help that bring people back home kind of thing. So it's all spiritual based. Spirituality is my kind of thing. It's all healing at the end of the day. It's just a slightly different angle to it.
Sure. So you help people to connect more with their true authentic self.
Yeah,
Um,
basically, yeah. It's like, I'm writing a program myself at the moment, but just the title gives it away. It's called Awaken the Self, or Return to Yourself is the name of one of my books I'm currently writing. But it's all about coming home and finding out who it is beyond the thoughts, because it's the thoughts, isn't it? We're all here to try and train, reprogram, whatever we want to repattern, whatever we want to call it. But I'm all about taking people beyond that as well and realizing that they are the witnesses of those thoughts. And so once people grasp that as a concept, they realize that those thoughts are temporary arising and they're not them and it's not the real them. They don't need to identify with that as a solid thing, as an absolute version of them and all of that. So it gives them their power back, I believe.
yes, to you give people their power back and put them
Yeah,
back in control of
yeah,
their lives. So
exactly. Yeah,
you and I are very similar in in
that's
that
good.
respect.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's brilliant.
What I try to do is I try to help people to connect with who they really are, because some of
Yeah.
the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are
Oh, I
sometimes
know. Exactly.
our friends spoke to us the way we speak to ourselves. We punched them on the
Oh,
bloody nose, wouldn't we?
yeah, definitely. And like that's the one I wrote my own method actually. So let get plug in there. It's a spirit hypnotherapy method, but part of my
Talk me
method
through it.
is in every session I go through certain phases, but one of the main parts is correcting how we talk to ourselves, sort of improving our own self-talk and how we criticize it and everything. And just I found I had this almost little realization the other day where the clients find it so hard to just be told to love themselves.
Mm.
So even that reframing it to be more loving towards yourself, I've noticed has even that made even more of a switch with clients, that they can find it easier to love themselves, as in be more loving than to say you must love yourself. Because people struggle with that, which is so
Yeah.
sad, isn't it?
Yes, people do struggle with it because I don't know what if you're anything like me, Jyoti. When I was growing up, my parents taught me that it was vain to love yourself,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
so maybe something more along the lines of self-acceptance
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
than actually self-love,
Yeah.
because self-love to some extent isn't that a little bit like what Narcissus did when he
Well,
fell in love with his own
yeah.
reflection.
Well, I think that's how it's got misconstrued, unfortunately, and it's quite sad because my idea is self-love is like you just said, talk, speak, and treat yourself how you would someone else you care about. Like be caring and nurturing to yourself, be loving to yourself, and rather than those critical voices in your head calling yourself stupid and really hating on yourself, which is pretty much what the majority of people seem to do. But
Oh yeah.
because we're so scared of looking like we're egotistical or narcissistic, or just to be kind to ourselves, you know what I mean? And why shouldn't we be kind to ourselves and be loving to ourselves? And a lot of people come with trauma and relationship issues and things like that, and until they learn to love themselves, they can't attract love to them from other people as well, because it's also linked, isn't it? How we see ourselves, our self-worth, all of that is all linked to what we will attract to ourselves and put up with from others. And you know, what lack of boundaries and low self-worth and low self-esteem. And so it's about changing that, but in a way where we're not encouraging people to just be egotistical maniacs, obviously, but we just want them to be kind, and that has to extend to themselves as well. Forgiveness as well for their own mistakes.
Yes. What's important to you about forgiveness?
What is important to me about it? Oh, I mean, I think forgive if you don't forgive, it's very heavy on you and it's very weighted on you. But also, as soon as you forgive another person, that is felt in them, and then that can help them to change. It's like energetically felt.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff with meditation and forgiveness and sending love to someone that's you've got conflict with and this kind of stuff. In Buddhism, we do a meditation called the wish fulfilling Joel, and we'll imagine someone we've got conflict with and send them love. It's hard to do, isn't it? But as
It
soon as
is.
you do this with someone you've got conflicts with, for example, they would suddenly be different to you. So if you can do that with forgiveness, that will help your relationship improve, you know. So I think it's really important, and it's a really bitter emotion to carry around, the lack of forgiveness. But I think the biggest thing, the hardest thing for people to forgive is themselves.
Yes, it does begin with yourself. I
Yeah,
know from my own experience, I was carrying for many years. I was carrying around
yeah,
anger in myself about allowing myself to be taken advantage of,
yeah,
and to the point that I thought, oh, I must deserve it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I, I was having this conversation last night with a friend about compassion in general, and it's like, if you can feel compassion for someone that's wronged you and suddenly let your heart feel for understanding of why they've acted like that, you know, and realize that they've got their own wounds and everything else, because I work mostly on the core wounds, like the inner wounds. So once you can see that compassion for that person, is only when you can start feeling compassion for yourself. It's very hard to feel compassion for yourself if you can't feel it for others. And the best way to learn compassion is to start looking at why other people do the things they do. And then you can start understanding how painful their life has been and why they've acted like that. Then your heart will open to compassion. And then you can start doing that for yourself as well. Do you know what I mean?
you're
So it's all so linked, isn't it?
very much so. And uh, the lack of forgiveness, the lack of compassion, like you said, it is a heavy feeling.
Yeah,
It
it is.
weighs you right. It
Yeah,
really does weigh you right down. And not only that, it kind of it allows the emotion that you're trying to discharge to live rent free inside your head, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is very toxic. It's toxic shame and lack of forgiveness, I would say, are two of the worst killers. And in my belief system, I'm all about what our body is a reflection of what's going on in our mind, and our outside world is a reflection of what's going on in our mind. So, any of these toxic emotions stay residue in you, they will start to manifest in your body until you take notice and then listen. And if you don't listen, they scream louder through your body, through disease, and it's all like messengers to make you heal those inner wounds, like those inner core pains. So
You're
yeah,
very. This sounds awesome, really awesome, Jyoti. Um,
okay, yeah.
so just to for our viewers to give them some
Mhm.
idea of what to expect. What when someone comes to you for the first time and
Yeah,
you're giving them uh, giving them an introductory call or whatever.
Yeah.
What can they expect when they first meet you? How would the process typically
Yeah.
start?
Well, normally, like, I have a chat with somebody and I can usually pick up what wounds they're coming from by asking them a couple of questions about what they want to come to see me about. So there's 5 inner core wounds. I'm going to tell you, but I'm sure you're aware of them, but for the sake of everyone else listening. And usually when I tell a client this list, I can tell straight away which 1 or 2 or 3 may resonate with them. So there's the wound of rejection, abandonment, injustice, humiliation, and betrayal. There are some sub wounds that come off those as well, you know, like the wound of criticism, for example, and little like sub wounds of those wounds. But so usually what I do before I get a consultation is I'll send out 3 questions to an inquiry, and I'll say, can you please answer these 3 this task? And it will just be tell me 3 things that you want to change, for example. And every time people will tell me all the things they don't want rather than the things they do want. And then
Yeah.
I get to flip that. I'll say, can you now flip that and just give me what I actually asked you for? I want you to tell me 3 things you want, not 3 things you don't want. But just doing that little task and telling them what the wounds are and having a little chat, I can usually work out where I think that treatment needs to go. So I do that before I even see the person. And then when they do come to see me, obviously we will have continue with the pre-talk, and as long as some people say it's not necessary the way they work, for me, you can't heal without healing the 5 wounds. If there's any of these wounds still open, you're just healing symptoms, not causes. So that's like really important to me to get to the bottom of these wounds. But so we'd have another chat, and then we would start the hypnotherapy. And I always start with like nervous system regulation, so like deep breathing. And I know hypnosis isn't relaxation, but to get the client into a relaxed state so they feel safe, and help them to learn a mantra through breath. So I usually anchor in some sort of mantra like breathing calm, breathe out stress, something like that. And then I will remind them that they can use that at any time when they need to, with any other associated, you know, issues that they get in their life. So, and then I would basically get them to become aware of the subject that they've come to see me about. Where do they feel it in the body? You know, can they give it a name? And can we just, there might be 6 or 7s floating around things, but can we just put it all into one and name one word? And the word will come to them like instantly, because they're, you know, they're working now with the subconscious. Subconscious knows exactly the answers, what's needed to do to heal. So then I will just regress them after that. You know, I'll be like, using this word, using this feeling, take me back to the very first time you've ever felt this feeling. And it will always go back, because I'm sure you're aware, to pre 7 years, you know, usually toddler years or something else. Sometimes they'll stop at a teenage event or something like that, which will be relevant. So it's important to take note and work with that as well. But so yeah, I will regress them back. It's usually something that happens when they're 2 or 3. They had no idea it was connected to why they're feeling like they are now. If it's something that sounds maybe not as safe to watch, or you know, there's a bit of fear about watching this that's come up in the mind, I'll disassociate it, so put this image in a bubble or something like that, so it feels a bit safer to view. And then I will do some inner child work, which is really the epitome of what I do. It's sort of, you know, my thing, you know, healing the inner child. But I get the person to make a new contract with their inner child. So it's almost like parts integration, which I do parts integration as well, where I get different parts of the mind to work with each other to come to an agreement. But I get the inner child and your adult self now to also come to an agreement. So I will get that older self to imagine being with the younger self, studying in front of the younger self, and getting them to ask them what they, you know, how they're feeling, and then their subconscious will know what to reply. I don't put any words into their head. Their subconscious will come out with the answer. So I might prompt them to say, ask the little girl what she needs to know or what is she feeling. And I just get this dialogue to go back and forth, and comfort to go back and forth. And I get them to reintegrate the inner child back into them.
And
So,
the inner child is wonderful
yeah,
experience to have that happen. Do you get them to do you get them your customer to actually go and embrace that little
I
child?
do. Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, I get them to imagine hugging them, giving them a kiss. I get them to give them 3 compliments, and just go really in on it, because I think it's really important. But I think a lot of people miss with the inner child work is getting them to reunite those 2 parts of them back together as one. So I get them to imagine picking that child up and putting them back inside themselves. I get them also to apologise for abandoning their own little inner child, and to promise they would never do that again, and that they're reunited now, and that's going to stay together, and that's a promise. And I also get the inner child to promise to help the older adult to be more playful and joyful and all of these things, and the adult to promise the inner child to remind them that they're safe, and that I've got your back, basically. Don't matter who else is here or not, you've got me and you don't need anyone else. So it gives that person their power back to just being self-sufficient, and not needing to have all their love and support from outside of themselves, and to realize that they can give that to themselves. And I think that's really important to reinstall. So there, yeah, and then I'll basically just bring them into some sort of agreement with that the what could they do doing forward to sort of make themselves feel happier and safe, and all of this, if any of these feelings came. And with parts therapy as well, I would get this part of the mind that might have come with anxiety or whatever. I would always thank that part, get them to thank that part for taking part, and I would invite that part of them that used to be critical or anxious to thank it for doing its part, asking it what it was trying to achieve. It usually says protection or something. And then I would get it to sort of be like, well, I really want you to still protect me, but can you think of a calmer, softer way of doing that, and all of that. So I encourage all of that dialogue there, and they just come to another agreement with those parts of themselves. And it's
Oh,
just
there's
like
a
works
lot.
like magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there under the
Yeah.
surface. If there was one piece of advice that you could give to someone that's considering using hypnotherapy for the very first time,
Yeah.
what would you what would that be?
I think that it's about busting the myth. I think a lot of people are so scared that we can see into their mind, or they're going to lose control, or anything like that. So probably I would firstly just got do some myth busting stuff, and just tell them, you're in completely control and aware, and nothing can happen to you don't want. And I would just remind them that, they deserve this self care, and sort of, whatever the amount of money it is to spend on yourself, that they deserve to spend that on themselves, because people don't want to spend money on themselves for care. They don't think it's important, but they would spend it on other people. So I'd probably say a bit of that, but it's to me, it's just a re-steering them back on their right path. So I'd probably talk to them a little bit about that, and you've got your full potential, you've got a pathway already there ready for you in your life to go down, and you might have just come off course a little bit. I'm just going to help point you back on course. I can't do it for you. I don't want you to feel that you are powerless and I'm the only way you can get somewhere. I'm just going to help point you back home to you, and back to, your own self sort of wisdom and answers. So I'd probably say that. I mean,
Gosh,
every
I'm
single
going to have to,
person's different, isn't it?
very much so. I'm going to have a session with you. This all sounds really great. What
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I usually do some future projection as well, so it like anchors and again, when I believe in manifestation, and I believe in, you know, if you imagine something in the future as if you've already got it, you're already bringing that into your reality 'cause it's already done. So doing that under hypnosis is way even more powerful than trying to just do that consciously, you know, like with affirmations or things like that, or visualizations. They still work, but doing it under hypnosis is amazing, like how powerful that is. So I always end with that, end on a high. So yeah, I love it. I love my job.
Awesome. Me too. I mean, I can tell that. I can hear the passion in your
Yeah.
voice from doing that. Um, do you have any particular experiences about any particular client that you'd like to tell me about? Any wins that they had?
Yeah, I mean, you know, without blowing my own trumpet, every client I usually get to an initial root trauma that they either had blocked or, you know, they vaguely remembered. I don't really give up until I find something that I know needs working on, but everyone's so different, and I love the investigation in that, you know, finding what the root causes are. But I've had some right bizarre ones, but generally it tends to be something like, I had a lady, for example, recently. She came, and I'll use this one because it's an unusual example that people wouldn't think, oh, I didn't know how hypnotherapy could help with that. So I had a lady, and she suffers with reactive jealousy.
Yeah,
Um,
the jealousy.
Reactive jealousy, yeah. And so basically it was, you know, she was obsessed with her husband's past partner, and it was making her life so painful, and it was making his life so painful. Um, so obviously we did the consultation, I did the pre-task thing and everything else, regressed her back. And it come to when she was like 2 years old, and her parents went away on holiday for a month or something and left her with the grandchildren. And she didn't feel cared for. She felt rejected and she felt abandoned. So she's already expecting to be rejected and abandoned. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
also uncovering on the because I did 2 treatments on this lady. After the first session, she had like an 80% improvement, you know, on her relationship or her own feelings of security, everything. But she still had this little underlying subtle pain that she still wanted to work a bit more on. And the thing is with hypnotherapy, one session can be amazing, but put 2 or 3 together on a program, you're going to get a lot deeper, long lasting change. So on a second session, it was uncovered that her partner couldn't perform sexually now. So it wasn't just a rejection wound, it was, why was your past partner's desired and I wasn't? You know what I mean? So it was also the wound of not being chosen that needed to be dealt with as well, which is a sub wound of the rejection wound, you know. And so it was again just going back, and we went back again to when she was a child, and her parents was working all the time, and she felt so unseen by her parents, and she felt that they didn't care about her because it was always at work and she was in the background without, you know, this is perceived, remember, as well. It doesn't mean this is what happened. This means that this is how a person felt. And I always install it as not hear about blaming parents or caregivers or anything like that. In
sure.
fact, I want them to have compassion for those caregivers and forgiveness and understanding for those, which also helps them heal those wounds. But so yeah, it's just about working with that repatterning of how they saw that situation. You know, do you think your parents was working because they wanted to provide for you, all this kind of stuff? And when you do that under the subconscious instead of with the conscious, the changes happen a lot more, as you know, sort of automatic, permanently, instantly. So yeah, this lady now, I mean, I always end up being friends with a lot of my clients because they just love, you know, how much they've sort of lives improved and they're inspired, and then they start following you. And but yeah, her relationships changed, her life's changed, her partner's life's changed. That's from 2 sessions. And she had no idea that it was linked to her own issues. She literally blamed it all on him. And then it was also, I gave her the understanding of what his body is doing is due to his own trauma. And maybe it's because he cares that much about you that it could be that he's got anxiety of failing you, and just give different perspectives. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so
So
all
even that
round.
sorted out then.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it? And you just never know what's going to come up. The problem is usually not the problem what people think it is, what they've come to see you about, as you know. And I love that side of it. You just never know what's gonna. I've had people that have been in alien ships, and I've had people that have regressed to in utero and past lives and spontaneously as well. I'm getting a lot of people at the moment that are coming for past life regression. And it wasn't ever something, even though I was a spiritualist myself, it wasn't ever something I pushed to work with. But if that's what people want, I will
You'll
do
help
that for
guide them
them.
through that process. Did I hear you say you're a Buddhist somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, predominantly, I don't usually sort of categorize myself in one particular thing. I mean, I really like my practice and the way I work with hypnotherapy is basically on non-duality. So it's like, we are consciousness, and the mind is it's not the real you. You know what I mean? It's not the personhood is not the real you. We are, none of us are separate to each other. We're just one thing. We're not dual, we're not separate. But Buddhist Dharma was literally what changed my life first, I think, with the meditation practices that I learned through Buddhism. And it was the first stuff that made me realize, I can take charge of my mind myself through meditation. So yeah, Buddhism's always going to have a massive place in my heart for sure.
Definitely. I went to the Kadampa centers myself
Mm,
quite a lot, and
yeah,
that was where I first learned
that's
to
fascinating. Yeah. Well, it's Kadampa Buddhism that I follow as well. So I've been on so many retreats with them, and the teaching's so profound and amazing.
Have you
So
been to that one at Thornby?
yeah, I've probably been to every single one in the country, I would imagine.
I had 5 days there this summer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah, it's nice,
it
isn't
was.
it?
Well, it
Yeah.
really was.
That's is that Majamaka or Najaguna? All the names I get.
Najirana or whatever.
Yeah, I always get them mixed up which one's which. But yeah, my local one is the Tara Centre, which is near Alton Towers, and it's a massive one. But I've been to their mother centre in the Lake District,
Yeah,
Manjushri
that's
Centre.
gorgeous.
Huge, huge Buddhist temple, and it's just so beautiful. And yeah, I
Well,
think
let
it's
me know
just
the next time you're going, and I might
yeah,
come and join you,
yeah, definitely. And there's always
especially in the
little.
summer.
Yeah, and there's always little half day ones on. And I used to teach, I actually was on the quite high up teach training program for a while at my centre in Nottingham at the time. So I went to the normal class, like the layman's type class, but then I ended up doing the foundation program for a few years. It's like teacher training program. So, we studied all the Dharma in so much detail, and that's like the side of me that I try to bring into my work, the sort of
Well, that
spiritual
will
stuff.
the people who your clients are going to be very lucky, because that will give an extra depth to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
ability to guide them through this process.
yeah, that's it.
Um,
And that is
all
more
the
my
breath
aim.
work and
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, that's
Also,
it.
um,
Yeah.
so I if the before we close this, I'd just like to leave you with one question.
Okay.
If you could, because you're clearly someone that cares about things,
Yeah,
and you have a mission to
yeah,
to help people. If
yeah,
you could reach out, say 1, 2, 3, 5,
mhm,
even 10 years from now,
yeah,
and right here, right now, and look back at the younger version of you of today, and bring
yeah,
back with you all of the knowledge, all of
mm,
the learnings, all of
yeah,
the wisdom, all of the understandings that allowed you to be the very best you could be.
yeah.
What advice would you give that younger version of you that would allow you to live the life of your dreams?
Probably just that you are already enough and you don't need to try to become anything. I know that does sound a little bit counterintuitive because it's teaching people not to strive, but it's not teaching people not to strive at all. It's teaching people to be okay with where they are, and just learn to be okay there. And then when they're in a state of contentment and sort of just being still, everything else will flow to you and clearer, and you will be able to see it. And when we're always trying to project, we've got to be here, we've got to be better, we've got to chase, we've got to be more. We're just judging ourselves and berating ourselves and measuring ourselves, and it just doesn't do you any good at all. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I would just be a lot say, be a lot kinder to yourself and just accept that wherever you are now is wherever you are meant to be now. Every single step along the way has been completely meant to be. I'm a big believer as we choose our path before we even come into this body. So we choose the karma or the patterns that we need to work through, and so we even choose our parents. So everything was exactly meant to happen as we didn't really have a lot of control over it. We think we do, but we don't. Whereas we could just stop trying to control everything and just be okay with just being,
There
and
you go.
just be in this flow state, and accept whatever is okay. And I think that would be it, really.
That is absolutely wonderful. Just yeah, everything's going to be okay. You're
Yeah,
okay as you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Everything is fine.
That's it.
Thank you
It's so
so much
productive.
for
Hey,
this,
it's
Josie.
okay. I'm terrible for interrupting, aren't I? I've got ADHD myself, so I'm a bit of a talker. But yeah, it's everything's so competitive now, isn't it? And it's who shouts loud is who's, and success is measured by such the wrong qualities these days. I mean, for me, success is measured by how peaceful my mind is, and it's not measured about how rich or how famous or what your status is or whatever. So yeah, I just try and spread
Definitely.
that a little bit, really, personally.
Meditation helps hugely. It kind of reminds me of something that someone said to me about the Buddha. He he was he was he was teaching people how to meditate, and he got a heckler in his audience one day.
Yeah,
And the heckler said, what do you get? What do you gain from meditation?"
yeah,
And the Buddha looked at him a bit confused and said, "I don't gain anything from meditation, but let
yeah,
me tell you what I lost.
exactly.
I
I
lost
love it.
fear, anxiety, I
Mm,
lost self-loathing, I lost judgment, and
yeah,
I lost all of the afflictions and delusions that keep
yeah,
that keep me that cause suffering in this
exactly.
world." So, if anyone were able in order for people to get in touch with you, what's
Yeah.
the best way for them to book a session with you, Joe?
Well, I've got a website, which is spirithypnotherapy.co.uk. I'm on also YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, Spirit Hypnotherapy. I do work by Zoom, or I am based in Ashby de la Zouch in Leicestershire. And I also have a base in Tamworth where I see people there as well. So any of those ways, or I'm sure that, we'll put a link onto these videos either on your page or mine
Certainly,
of each
when
other as well, won't we? So, but yeah, it's like you're just saying about the Buddhist stuff and meditation. It's all, for me, hypnotherapy and meditation, the state we go to is the same.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And if I can remind people of that under hypnotherapy, it'll give them a head start for their own meditation practice, which is ultimately what I would promote and want people to follow, as the best way of helping themselves. It's
it's wonderful.
interesting. You're also, interested in Buddhism and similar.
I could talk for ages about this. I'm
Yeah, me too.
trying hard to keep my mouth shut at the at the moment, Jyoti, because uh, we would digress so far.
I know, I know, I know. I totally get it. I'm literally the same. It's literally been my passion for years, studying
We could
meditation. I
talk about
teach
these
yoga as well.
on a separate video if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see your lovely face anytime and chat to you. It's always nice to see you. But yeah, so how do you work differently to how I work then? What? Because obviously we all attract
I'm going
specific
to
clients.
turn the stop recording now.
Oh, okay.
At this point.